Okay, good morning, guys. Just woke up and I'm a little puffy, but bear with me. I'm going to read chapter 47 of Genesis, which I should have done yesterday, but life. And felt very convicted. I got to get this one out there. So I'll be recording this one and chapter 48 today. Let's just get started. This is Genesis chapter 47, King James, and the Message version in one video, starting with King James. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, What is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we, and also our fathers. They said moreover unto Pharaoh, For to sojourn in the land are we come. For thy servants have no pasture for their flock, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee, and the best of the land make thy father and thy brethren dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if thou knowest any men of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh, and said, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of my life of my father and the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren, and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, and the best of the land in the land of Ramses. And Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money unto Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give me your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle, if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. When that year was ended, they came unto him in the 2nd year, and said unto him, We will not hide it from my lord, how that our money is spent. My lord also have our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the land of my lord, but our bodies and our lands. Therefore we shall die before thine eyes, both we and our land. Buy us and our land for bread. and we in our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sowed every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, and the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the border of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned to them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore they sold not their lands. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow in the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give the 5th part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for the seed of the field, and for your food, and for them your households, and for food your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which came not Pharaoh's. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen. They had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die, and he called his son Joseph, and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt, but I will die with my fathers. And thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their bury place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he sware unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. I'm going straight into the message. Genesis chapter 47, Message version. Joseph went to Pharaoh and told him, My father and my brothers, with their flocks and herds and everything they own, have come from Canaan. Right now, they are in Goshen. He had taken 5 of his brothers with him and introduced them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked them, What kind of work do you do? Your servants are shepherds, the same as our fathers were. We have come to this country to find a new place to live. There is no pasture for our flocks in Canaan. The famine has been very bad there. Please, would you let our servants settle in the region of Goshen? Pharaoh looked at Joseph. So your father and brothers have arrived, a reunion. Egypt welcomes them. Settle your father and brothers in the choice land. Yes, give them Goshen. And if you know any among them that are especially good at their work, put them in charge of my own livestock. Next, Joseph brought his father Jacob and introduced him to Pharaoh. Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Jacob, How old are you? Jacob answered Pharaoh, The years of my sojourning is 130, a short and hard life, and not nearly as long as my ancestors were given. Then Jacob blessed then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and left. Joseph settled his father and brothers in Egypt, made them proud owners of choice land. It was the region of Ramses, that is, Goshen, just as Pharaoh had ordered. Joseph took good care of them, his father and brothers, and all his families, and all his father's family, right down to the smallest baby. He made sure that they had plenty of everything. The time eventually came when there was no food anywhere. The famine was very bad. Egypt and Canaan alike were devastated by famine. Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan to pay for the distribution of food. He banked the money in Pharaoh's palace. When the money from Egypt and Canaan ran out, the Egyptians came to Joseph. Food, give us food. Are you going to watch us die right in front of you? The money is all gone. Joseph said, bring your livestock. I'll trade you food for your livestock since your money is run out. So they brought Joseph their livestock. He traded them food for their horses, sheep, cattle, and donkeys. He got them through that year in exchange for all their livestock. When that year was over, the next year rolled around and they were back saying, Master, it's no secret that we're broke. Our money is gone and we've traded you all our livestock. We've nothing left to barter with but our bodies and our farms. What use are our bodies in our land if we stand here and starve to death right in front of you? Trade us food for our bodies and our land. We'll be slaves to Pharaoh and give up our land. All we ask is seed for survival, just enough to live on and keep our farms alive. So Joseph brought up all the farms in Egypt for Pharaoh. Every Egyptian sold his land. The famine was that bad. That's how Pharaoh ended up owning all the land and the people ended up slaves. Joseph reduced the people to slavery from one end of Egypt to the other. Joseph made an exception for all priests. He didn't buy their land because they received a fixed salary from Pharaoh and were able to live off that salary. So they didn't need to sell their land. Joseph then announced to the people, here's how things stand. I've bought you and your land for Pharaoh. In exchange, I'm giving you seed so you can plant in the ground. When the crops are harvested, you must give a fifth to Pharaoh and keep 4/5 for yourselves, for seed for yourselves and your families. You're going to be able to feed your children. They said, you've saved our lives, Master. We're grateful and glad to be slaves to Pharaoh. Joseph decreed a land law in Egypt that is still in effect. A fifth goes to Pharaoh. Only the priests' lands were not owned by Pharaoh. And so Israel settled down in Egypt in the land of Goshen. They acquired property and flourished. They became a large company of people. Jacob lived in Egypt for 17 years. In all, he lived 147 years. And when the time came for Israel to die, he called his son Joseph and said, do me this favor. Put your hand under my thigh, a sign that you're loyal and true to me to the end. Don't bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me alongside them. I will, he said. I will do what you asked. Israel said, promise me, Joseph. Promised. Israel bowed his head in submission and gratitude from his bed. Sorry, I was kind of tongue twisted during this one. I'm not sure if it's because I woke up and I'm not quite awake, but I'm going to make this one short. I keep saying that every time. But basically, I'm sorry, I'm still waking up, but I mean, it's just a lot going on. I guess there's a famine in the land, which I guess right now we can kind of attest to. Not just here in the United States. I hate it when people just say the United States is this and the United States is that. There's like food shortages or increased prices for everyday life going on globally right now. Not all around the world, but in many places, not just United States. Canada and the UK, I could go on. Just look it up. It's just a Google click away. But I digress. There is definitely a famine happening. I don't know if it's going to get better or worse just based on how the powers that be are treating others. Just people. The everyday man. But I mean, it's a really good time to, if you're able to stock up whatever you can, stock up rice, beans, freeze your bread, freeze your milk, get a lot of canned goods. It's a really good time to, maybe not go crazy. I don't know. Depends on how much money you have. But if you're able to afford it, you should do that. Just stock up a little bit. For me personally, I found some really good deals here and there, but my biggest source so far has been Amazon Fresh. For some reason, I was able to get 1 to 200 different things that last for the next 3 or so years, and I was able to spend less than $200 to get more than 200 items that will last me just in case. And I just thought about this stuff when I started reading maybe a few chapters ago, which I don't know, maybe that's a week or two ago, about this famine. It's almost like the Holy Spirit's telling me, stock up a little bit, Not out of control where, I have this huge pantry or whatever. I don't have any of that. But I have enough to last me quite a long while, just in case something does happen. And it's taught me how to spend my money a lot smarter. I cook at home. I usually cook everything that I make, and I use real food, like produce and meat, I'll even bake my own bread. I just really enjoy cooking. It's just been, for the last few years, definitely, it's turned into a just therapeutic hobby of mine. I really just love making my house and my home smell really good when you come in, and just really creating some really cool recipes I see online, or just making things up based on what I have a taste for. I feel like I'm kind of in training to be this sweet little wife and mom with these home cooked meals, and I'm enjoying that journey. It's great. So I just stocked up on a lot of natural food. Some of it is canned, and things like that. But it's canned, veggies, and, maybe it'll have water and salt in there at most with the veggies. It's just really natural. I'm a big fan of just food and to get it as unprocessed as possible, especially going to the grocery store and getting fresh produce that you can, implement in your dinner or your lunch or whatever you're making that day. I love cooking, and I love going shopping for just really great foods and trying new recipes. Anyway, back to the famine though. I do think it's a good idea if you can. I would try Amazon Fresh, guys, really. When I say the first time I spent money there, I spent $103 and I got 100 items. My cabinets are way past full. I had to put some stuff on I don't know what you call it, but it's that middle that middle table in the kitchen with the wheels on it. I don't know what you call it, but I've had to put some of my stock in there, and also in other shelved areas and things, just to kind of organize things a little more. It was more than what I thought. And then when I went back and spent for 200 items for less than $200, it was just a steal. Going to a regular grocery store, I can easily spend $50 or $100 and not get anything near as much. So it's kind of nice that I can mix this stored produce with the fresh stuff that I buy within the week, and just kind of implement them together and things, just to make everything really last and still be able to eat really healthy and fresh and real food. And so I just recommend it. Amazon Fresh, guys, really, like, while you can. I don't know, it might always be there, and I don't think that people who are stocking up, I don't think that if you can't, it's going to be okay. Just please believe in God, because when I say that in the past year, there were times where I struggled even to eat food. God has had my back, and He's going to have your back too. Okay? I promise you that. He is. So, I'm just saying all that because I know a lot of people are talking about it lately because of the tariffs and things like that. And my goodness, I mean, like, soybeans are being bought elsewhere from China, which is absolutely crazy. Beef, too. It's just, I don't know what our administration is doing. I didn't vote for them, but I'm not going to get into any of that politics. It just seems like the interest of the people is not what's important. And I learned a long while ago that my help comes from my Lord. My help comes from my God. It does not come from some man or some king or some politician or some rich person. They're just creations, They're on the same level in terms of your soul as you are, as I am. We're all on the same level. Money and things and positions, it doesn't make anyone better or worse than another. We all have to face God in the end about what we did here. So, my king is God. My president is God. My leader is God. My help comes from God. And so far he's been taking good care of me and just refining my character and just really just making sure that I'm safe and healthy and happy and joyful and content. There's still some things he's working on for sure. I don't know if that ever ends, but I don't know. If you're struggling with food, like, look up food banks, guys. They're still available. A lot of food banks. I've been to a few when I don't have much food or when I was struggling. I really went to them all the time. And I recommend going. Just be careful of the meat, depending on which food bank you're going to, because I think it's different nationwide. But sometimes you gotta be careful with that meat. Definitely go for canned goods and oats and beans and things that might be in sealed bags. Bread is always good. If they have dough, like the last time I went, they were selling fresh dough, and you could just bake your own, like, bread or make a pizza or something with it. I mean, it's just time to get really creative, and I just made a hobby out of it. I love cooking home cooked meals. I just love it. It's just so much fun. And so I just say, like, whatever you can do to get your food, just depend on God for it. He will provide. And make a hobby, make it as fun or as creative as you can. That's what I did. And it ended up becoming this really great hobby of mine, just really getting into, like, the art of homemaking and things. It's just fun. I love it. If it were up to me, I would just be this little housewife taking care of the home and cooking really delicious meals and taking care of the kids and stuff. Like, that's kind of the dream for me. But even, whatever, I still love to cook. It's just definitely make fun out of it if you can, no matter what you have. I've learned to do that. And I'm rambling on, but I don't know, this famine in Genesis really has me thinking about just the times now, today. And I guess the only thing that really made me sad was, like, the people were giving up everything so that they could survive and eat. And they were even willing to give up their land and become slaves. And, I can see stuff like that kind of happening in today's world as well. I would never say give up your body and be a slave. I think that's just too much. I would really, just start praying to God to provide for you. You don't have to do anything of this sort. Give up your land and things. Just really start depending on God for everything. It's changed my life being able to do that and not depending on people for anything, because, no offense, but people will fail you. Even the best people of your life, not even on purpose. They're just human, So I just really look to God for your help. He will come through if you're abiding in Him and following His ways and walking that narrow path and just really in a relationship with Him. He'll help you. So, I mean, it looks like Joseph's got his family here, and they have the land of Goshen. It says Ramses is also the name of the land, and it seems lush, and they're doing pretty well. They're prospering. Like, I mean, they've got the favor. Their brother's basically in charge, so they're doing really well. They're not having to sell anything of themselves, even though the Egyptians are doing it. His family is actually doing pretty well, and I don't know. They're pretty prosperous, and they have favor in Pharaoh's eyes as well. And it looks like Jacob, he's got to meet Pharaoh and everything. He's 130. He talks about how his family has lived much longer than him and easier, which is true. I think Jacob, aka Israel, kind of had a little bit of a heart between the other two generations of Isaac and Abraham. He's definitely, of the three, had it the hardest, not just because of the famine, but just some of his life choices, like the two wives and all his kids, and a lot of death, his daughter being violated, just a lot of things going on with him. Losing Joseph and feeling like he's going to lose two more of his sons after that, just a lot going on, in his life. Not to mention the whole thing with Esau, and so he's had it pretty tough, even though he's been blessed a lot. And he's still being blessed, because, I mean, he could be in the land of Canaan starving to death, and God made a way where he can live well at the end in the land of Goshen. So Pharaoh's got favor over them. He's even saying, if you guys are really good at what you say, you're really good shepherds, then pick some of those guys, take care of my flock. They're doing really well for themselves, and I think he's 147 at the end, Jacob, Israel, and that basically is saying something or entailing that he's at the end of his life, and he's ready to bless Joseph. And just like Jacob was blessed, putting the hand under the thigh, even though he tricked his dad, like it's a tradition, putting the hand under the thigh and being blessed. Abraham also had a version of that, so it just looks like it's just this tradition being passed on, and he wants to be buried with his family in the land of Canaan, because that's the land that was promised to them. And God has already promised that even though they're in Egypt, he's going to bring them back to that land of Canaan that he promised. So he's just wanting to be there at his death, and just be buried with his father and grandfather and the rest of his family, which makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of this chapter. What stood out to me was this famine. It just really makes me think of today's time. It's just a really interesting time. I'm not afraid. I don't know. I have a lot of peace because of God. I know a lot of people are just going crazy over politics and what's going to happen in the world, or even if you want to just focus on the United States, people are worried about that. I don't know. I don't really care, because my treasures are in heaven, and my blessings come from God. So does my strength and my protection and everything good. So I don't really look to men or politicians or anything for really anything at all. God has shown me, even in the past year, more than ever. He's shown me my whole life. But really, in the past year, my eyes were open enough to really see how he's working. And there are times where I still struggle sometimes to see him, working in my life. But I'll just put it this way. I know that he cares about me and he loves me. And I know everything's going to be okay, despite what it looks like. I know he's working for my good, and he's going to deliver me out of whatever situations I'm in that may be unpleasant or difficult, challenging. He's going to be right there with me. He's going to get me out. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I am going to go ahead and record chapter 48, I think. Probably a little bit later, since I am recording this one a day late. And I do ask for your grace. And I appreciate you guys, anyone who's still reading along with me. And any new subscribers, thanks so much for subscribing. I pray that this Bible reading will bless you in many ways. Just reading his word just brings a lot of comfort to me. And I just pray that it's doing the same for you. So God bless you, and I love you, and I'll see you in chapter 48. Shalom. Bye.